Hi all, welcome to BIAS Academy, Science and Technology audio notes for prelims and mains. Unit 5, Part 5. Part 5 is natural disasters. Under this, the topics which we're going to cover are disaster and types of disasters, risk, vulnerability and hazard, India's vulnerability to disasters, and then we look at a National Disaster Management Authority, NIDM, NPDM and NDRF. After that, we'll look provisions to declare a national calamity. Next, we'll look at international efforts to combat disasters and then Sendai framework. And next, India's incident response system, and finally, we'll discuss about NDMA guidelines. What is NDMA? National Disaster Management Authority Guidelines. Okay, let's start with the first topic. Disaster. What is disaster? Disaster is a sudden, unpredictable, calamitous event bringing great damage, destruction, and devastation to life and to property. The term disaster is derived from a French word disastri, which itself was derived from an Italian word disastro. In Greek, the term disaster means a bad star or a bad time. The disaster results in serious disruption in functioning of society, causing widespread human, natural, and environmental losses, sometimes exceeding the coping abilities of the affected societies. The main feature of the disaster include unpredictability, unfamiliarity, speed, emergency, and threat, as well as uncertainty. Disaster will have three major effects. What are they? First one is disaster completely disrupts the normal day-to-day life. Second, disaster negatively influences the emergency systems. Third, the normal needs and processes like food, shelter, health, etc. are affected depending upon the intensity of the disaster. Disasters are mainly categorized into two types. One is natural disasters, second one is man-made or anthropogenic disasters. Okay, let's look at natural disasters. The natural disasters have both terrestrial and extraterrestrial factors. They are further divided into major and minor disasters. The major natural disasters are earthquakes, floods, volcanic eruptions, tsunami, cyclones. The minor natural disasters are avalanches, landslides, summer heat waves, forest fires. And next one is man-made or anthropogenic disasters. These are completely man-made and sometimes intensified by human factors. They are further divided into major and minor disasters. The major man-made disasters are wars, epidemics, fire accidents. Minor man-made disasters are road, train accidents, communal riots, industrial disasters, food poisoning, stampedes. For example, in Visakhapatnam there is a LG Polymers, there was a styrene gas leakage. That is a minor disaster. Okay. Now let's look at the next topic, that is what are these terms risk, vulnerability, hazard mean in relation to disaster management. Risk is it's a measure of expected loss due to hazardous events of a particular magnitude occurring in a given area or a specific period of time. It is a function of probability of a particular occurrences and losses that can be incurred. The level of risk depends on the nature of the hazard and vulnerability. Example, in 2013, Uttarakhand floods created a great damage due to the risk taken by the community in establishing settlement in high fragile ecosystems. The community has established their homes, their businesses and hotels in the Himalayan ecosystem, in the fragile ecosystem. In a way, that is an encroachment. That was the risk in disaster management. Next term is vulnerability. It is defined as the extent to which community structure, service and geographically India is likely to be damaged or disrupted by the impact of a particular hazard on account of nature or construction or proximity to a hazardous domain or a disaster prone area. Simply saying, it is the distance or the nearness to a hazardous area or a disaster prone area. That is vulnerability. Example, coastal areas are vulnerable to tsunamis, whereas tectonic boundaries are vulnerable to earthquakes. Okay, let's look at the third point, that is hazard. It is defined as a phenomena that poses a threat to the population, structure and economic assets which may cause a disaster. The hazard could be either man-made or natural in environment. Okay. Example: tsunami of December 26, 2004 is a hazard created by a very devastating disaster. So this hazard created a devastating disaster, right? Okay. Now let's look at the next topic, that is India's vulnerability to various types of disasters. India is one of the highly vulnerable regions in the world to various types of disasters. 60% of the world disasters regularly occur in Asia-Pacific region. In South Asia, India is regularly being affected by disasters. As many as 22 states and the Union Territories are found to be disaster prone in India. Of all the states, 22 states are prone to disaster. Floods, cyclones, drought are most common types of disasters that occur in India. Earthquake is another type of disaster which results in severe economic, life and resources loss. Over 40 million hectares, that is 12% of the land, is prone to floods and river erosion. On an average, every year 7.6 million hectares of land in the country is flooded. According to the data from the Central Water Commission, every year floods result in the loss of roughly 4,000 crores, that is 4,282 crores. That is the loss due to floods every year. Of 7,516 km long coastline, 5,700 kilometers is prone to cyclones, tsunamis. India is hit by 5 to 6 cyclones every year, out of which there are 2 to 3 may be severe. The Orissa super cyclone of 1999 resulted in a death of 10,000 people. 1/3 of the Orissa state was severely affected. Even though India had pre-independent history of tsunami, the first tsunami that hit independent India on December 26, 2004 resulted in 12,400 deaths. 58.6%, that is roughly 60% of the landmass, is prone to earthquakes. So whenever you're writing in your mains, try to mention these facts. 60% approximately is prone to landmass is prone to earthquakes, that is 12% of the land is prone to floods. Of 7,500 kilometers long coastline, 5,700 is prone to cyclones. These are the points which get you more marks than a generic answer. Okay, coming back to our topic. 58.6% of landmass is prone to earthquakes of moderate to very high intensity. In 2001, January 26, the earthquake in Kutch area of Gujarat resulted in death of 16,000 people. The Chennai 2015 floods caused an estimated loss of 50,000 crores. Similarly, in 2014, Hudhud cyclone caused an estimated loss of 70,000 crores in Andhra Pradesh. 68% of the cultivable area is vulnerable to drought, and hilly areas are at a risk of landslides and avalanches. Vulnerability to disasters or emergencies of chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear origins also exist. In short, it is called CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear disasters or emergencies. Okay. Heightened vulnerabilities to disaster risk can be related to expanding population, urbanization, industrialization, development with high-risk zones, environmental degradation and climate change. This is the vulnerability of India to various disasters. Okay, now let's look at National Disaster Management Authority. What is it? NDMA is an apex body and is managed to lay down policies, plans, guidelines for disaster management. I will repeat. National Disaster Management Authority is the apex body and is mandated to lay down policies, plans and guidelines for disaster management. So it designs policies, disaster management policies, disaster management plans, disaster management guidelines. Why? To ensure timely and effective response to disasters. Okay, let's look at the functions of NDMA. Roughly we look at 8 functions. First one is it lays down policies on disaster management and approve the national plan. Number 2, approve plans prepared by ministries or departments of the Government of India in accordance with national plan. Number 3, lay down guidelines to be followed by the state authorities in drawing up the state plan. Number 4, lay down guidelines to be followed by different ministries or departments of Government of India for the purpose of integrating the measures of prevention of disaster or the mitigation of its effects in their developmental plans and projects. Number 5, coordinate the enforcement and implementation of the policy and plans of disaster management. So it is coordination. Number 6, recommend provisions of funds for the purpose of mitigation and provide such support to other countries affected by major disasters as may be determined by the central government. Number 7, take such other measures for the prevention of disaster or mitigation and preparedness and capacity building for dealing with threatened disaster situations or disasters as it may consider necessary. Number 8. Lay down broad policies, guidelines for the functioning of National Institute of Disaster Management. So these are the 8 things. I'll repeat. First one is, it devises a policy on disaster management, approves national plan. Next, approves plans prepared by other ministries, Government of India in accordance with national plan. Number 3, it lays guidelines for state authorities to design or draw a state plan. Number 4, it lays down guidelines for different ministries and departments. Number 5, it coordinates the enforcement of the implementation of disaster management plans and policies. Number 6, recommends provisions of funds or provides such support. Number 7, it also considers all other such measures for the prevention of disaster, mitigation and preparedness and capacity building as well. Number 8, it lays down broad policies and guidelines for the functioning of NIDM, that is National Institute of Disaster Management. Okay, now let's look at what is NIDM, or we look at the functions of it. National Institute of Disaster Management was first constituted with a vision to play the role of a premier institute for capacity development in India and the region. It was first established as National Center for Disaster Management in 1995. The center was upgraded as National Institute of Disaster Management on October 16, 2003, following the transfer of the subject of disaster management to Ministry of Home Affairs. So disaster management follows under which ministry? Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay. Remember this, Ministry of Home Affairs looks after the subject disaster management. Disaster management is a subject which is looked after by Ministry of Home Affairs. It's important for your prelims. Okay. The institute, the NIDM, was inaugurated by Honorable Union Minister on 11th August 2004. So earlier it was called National Center for Disaster Management 1995, and in 2004 it was rechristened as National Institute of Disaster Management. Under the Disaster Management Act 2005, NIDM has been assigned nodal responsibilities for human resource development, capacity building, responsibility of training, research, documentation, and policy advocacy in the field of disaster management. These are all the broad perspectives of National Institute of Disaster Management, under which Act? Disaster Management Act 2005. Under the Disaster Management 2005 Act, NIDM has all the responsibilities. Okay, the institute works through strategic partnerships with various ministries and departments of the central, state, local governments, and as well as it works with academic, research, technical organizations in India and abroad, and other bilateral and multilateral international agencies. Let's look at the broad or major functions of NIDM. There are roughly 7. We'll look at the first one is develop training modules, undertake research and documentation in disaster management, and organize training programs. Number 2, formulate and implement a comprehensive human resource development plan covering all aspects of disaster management and provide assistance in national level policy formulation. Number 3, provide required assistance to the training and research institutes for the development of training and research programs for stakeholders including government functionaries and state level training institutes. Fourth function of NIDM, provide assistance to state governments and state training institutes in the formation of state level policies, strategies, disaster management framework, and any other assistance as may be required by the state governments or state training institutes for capacity building of stakeholders or other government functionaries, civil society members, corporate sector, and people elected representatives. So it provides assistance under all these areas. Fifth function of NIDM, develop educational materials for disaster management, including academic and professional courses, and promote awareness among stakeholders including college or school teachers and students, technical personnel, and other associated with multi-hazard mitigation and preparedness response measures. Sixth function of NIDM, undertake, organize and facilitate study courses, conferences, lectures, seminars within and outside the country to promote the aforesaid objectives and maintain libraries. Number 7, undertake any other function as may be assigned to it by the central government. So these are the functions of NIDM. Okay, now let's look at National Policy on Disaster Management, NPDM. We will look at the objectives as well. The National Policy on Disaster Management was approved by the Union Cabinet on 22nd October 2009 with a vision to build a safe and a disaster resilient India by developing holistic, proactive, multi-disaster oriented and technology driven strategy through a culture of prevention, mitigation, preparedness and response. What was the vision of NPDM? To build a safe and a disaster resilient India. How? By developing a holistic, proactive, multi-disaster oriented and a technology driven strategy through a culture of prevention, mitigation, preparedness and response. Prevention is prevention of a disaster. If a disaster occurs, then how do you mitigate it? And then how will you be ready or be prepared? That is preparedness. And in case if a disaster occurs, what is the response? Okay. NPDM provides an integration approach for management with emphasis on building strategic partnership at various levels. The objectives of the National Policy on Disaster Management are, there are roughly 9. The first one is promoting a culture of prevention, preparedness, resilience at all levels through knowledge, innovation and education. Number 2, encouraging mitigation measures based on technology, traditional wisdom and environmental sustainability. Number 3, mainstreaming disaster management into developmental planning process. Number 4, establishing institutional and techno-legal frameworks to create an enabling regulatory framework and a compliance regime. Number 5, ensuring efficient mechanism for identification, assessment and monitoring of disaster risks. Number 6, what is the sixth one? It's the sixth objective of National Policy on Disaster Management. Developing contemporary forecasting and early warning systems backed by responsive and fail-safe communication with information technology support. Number 7, ensuring efficient response and relief with caring approach towards the needs of vulnerable sections of the society. Number 8, undertaking reconstruction as an opportunity to build disaster resilient structures and habitat for ensuring safer living. Number 9, promoting a productive and a proactive partnership with media for disaster management. So these are the objectives of the policy. Which policy? National Policy on Disaster Management. It promotes a culture of prevention, preparedness and resilience, encourages mitigation measures, mainstreaming disaster management and development planning, establishing institutions and techno-legal frameworks, provide efficient mechanism for monitoring, develop contemporary forecasting mechanisms, ensure efficient response in case of disasters, undertake reconstructions, promoting a productive and a proactive partnership with media for disaster management. So these are the objectives of National Policy on Disaster Management. Now let's look at NDRF. That is National Disaster Response Force. Is a specialized force constituted in the year 2006 for the purpose of specialist response to the threatening disaster situation or a disaster under Disaster Management Act 2005. So this is a special force under the Disaster Management Act 2005. Initially it was established with 8 battalions, 2 each from Border Security Force, Central Reserve Police Force, Central Industrial Security Force and Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force. Later, 2 battalions from Sahastra Seema Bal, that is SSB, were established. Additionally, 2 battalions each from BSF and CRPF were also established. Each battalion has 1149 members. Thus, NDRF has 12 operational battalions at present. The operational battalions are located in Assam, West Bengal, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Punjab, NCR, that is Ghaziabad, Bihar, Arunachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh. The Union Cabinet in August 2018 gave the nod to raising 4 new battalions of National Disaster Response Force, which will be based in Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and National Capital Region. The NDRF has recently in September 2018 announced the formation of 4 new battalions which included J&K, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and NCR. NDRF has done a commendable job in last few years, especially during Chennai floods and recent 2020 Assam floods and floods in Bihar. Even during the Hudhud and the cyclones, it saved lives of people in distress by demonstrating high level of professionalism, determination, and hard work by countering multiple challenges with bravery. So NDRF always plays a crucial role. We should appreciate their effort in saving the lives of people. Okay, now let's look at are there any provisions in the country to declare any disaster as national calamity? You might get this question in mains or in your interview. There is no provision, executive or legal, to declare the natural calamity as national calamity. That is the main point. There is no provision to declare any calamity, natural calamity, as national calamity. The existing guidelines of State Disaster Response Fund or the National Disaster Response Fund do not contemplate declaring a disaster as national calamity. In March 2001, the then Ministry of Science and Agriculture, Shripad Naik, had told Parliament that the government had treated the 2001 Gujarat earthquake and 1999 super cyclone in Odisha as a calamity of unprecedented severity. In 2001, the National Committee on Disaster Management under the chairmanship of Prime Minister was mandated to look into the parameters that should define a national calamity. However, the committee did not suggest any fixed criterion. In the recent past, there have been demands from states to declare certain events as natural disasters, such as Uttarakhand flood in 2013, Cyclone Hudhud in Andhra Pradesh 2014, and Assam floods in 2015 and Kerala floods in 2018. So there was a request from the states to declare this as a national calamity. The 10th Finance Commission, that is from 1995 to 2000, examined a proposal that a disaster be termed as national calamity of the rarest severity if it affects one-third of the population of a state. If one-third of the population of a state is affected, then it can be termed as national calamity of rarest severity. It was a proposal by the 10th Finance Commission. The panel did not define a calamity of rarest severity, but stated that a calamity of rare severity would necessarily have to be adjudged on the case-to-case basis, taking into account the inter alia, the intensity, magnitude of the calamity, level of assistance needed, the capacity of the state to tackle the problem, the alternatives and flexibility available within the plans to provide succor and relief, etc. The flash floods in Uttarakhand and Cyclone Hudhud were later classified as calamities of severe nature. So they were classified as calamities of severe nature. When a calamity is declared to be of rare severity or a severe nature, support to the state government is provided at the national level. So when it is declared, the support is provided from national level. The central government also considers additional assistance from the NDRF. A calamity relief fund, that is CRF, is set up with the corpus shared in the ratio of 3:1 between centre and state. When the resources of this calamity relief fund are inadequate or not sufficient, additional assistance is considered from National Calamity Contingence Fund, that is NCCF. This is 100%. This is not in a ratio of 3:1. This is 100% funded by the centre. Relief in payment of loans or grant for fresh loans of the persons affected on concessional terms too are also considered once a calamity is declared as severe. So, once a calamity is declared as severe or a rare severe nature, then there are three possibilities. One, there is a calamity relief fund which is given to the state by centre, which is in the ratio of 3:1. The centre 3 parts and state provides 1 part. If that is inadequate, then there is a National Calamity Contingence Fund, that is 100% provided by the centre. And then coming to individuals, the loans or for the grant of fresh loans to the persons affected on a concessional rates. Okay, now let's go to the next topic, that is international efforts, especially by United Nations, to combat disasters in the world. The United Nations identified that only an integrated disaster management system alone can help its member countries to address the increasing disasters more rationally. Hence, United Nations played a vital role in establishment of the following strategies. What are they? One is Yokohama Strategy, YOKAHAMA, Yokohama Strategy. Next is Hyogo Framework, that is HYOGO Framework, and then Sendai Framework. So now let's look at Yokohama Strategy. All members of United Nations and other states met at a World Conference on Natural Disaster Reduction in the city Yokohama in Japan in the year 1994. So Yokohama is a place in Japan. Yokahama, that's the spelling of it. It acknowledged that impact on natural disasters in terms of human and economic losses have risen in recent years, and the society in general has been vulnerable to the natural disasters. So it has acknowledged that due to natural disasters, human and economic losses have increased. Okay, the conference also accepted that these disasters affected mostly the poor and the disadvantaged groups, particularly in developing countries, which are ill-equipped to cope with them. The conference adopted a Yokohama strategy as a guide to rest of the decade and beyond to mitigate the losses due to disaster. So it has adopted a strategy to mitigate the losses for a decade. So the important resolutions of Yokohama strategy are, there are around roughly 5. Look at them. First one is, each country should take a sovereign responsibility to protect its citizens from natural disasters and hence should evolve plans with relation to disaster management. The second resolution, the strategy will be given prior attention to the developing countries, particularly at the least developed. So more attention will be given to the least developed, landlocked and small island countries. Third, the strategy calls for a development and strengthening of national capacities and capabilities and appropriate national legislations for disaster prevention, mitigation and preparedness. Number 4, the member countries should mobilize the NGO and promote participation of local communities in disaster management. Number 5, the fifth strategy of Yokohama strategy is, the fifth strategy promotes and strengthens the sub-regional, regional and international cooperation in activities to prevent, reduce and mitigate natural and other disasters with a particular emphasis on human and institutional capacity building, an emphasis on technology sharing involving the collection, dissemination and utilization of information and mobilization of resources. This strategy, this Yokohama strategy, declared 1991-2000 as the international decade for natural disaster reduction. So now let's look at the next framework, that is Hyogo framework, HYOGO framework for action. This HFA or Hyogo framework for action 2005-15 is a 10-year plan to make the world safer from natural hazards. Okay, that was also earlier. Yokohama is also a decadal plan. Yokohama framework is also a decadal plan. So that Yokohama was from 1991 to 2000, whereas Hyogo is from 2005 to 2015. Okay, the framework came out of the World Conference held in Kobe, Hyogo in Japan, which was held in the year 2005, with a vision of building the resilience of nations and communities to disasters. Is the first plan to explain, describe and detail the work that is required from all different sectors and actors to reduce disaster losses. The Hyogo framework for action outlines 5 priorities. The 5 priorities for action and offers guiding principles and practical means for achieving disaster resilience. Its goal is to sustainably or substantially reduce disaster losses by 2015 by building the resilience of nations, building the resilience of communities to disasters. This means reducing loss of lives and socio-economic and environmental assets when hazards strike. So let's look at the 5 priorities of this Hyogo framework for action. Priority 1 or action 1. Ensure the disaster reduction is a national and a local priority with strong institutional basis for implementation. Priority 2. Identify, assess, monitor disaster risk and enhance early warning systems. Priority 3. Use knowledge, innovation and education to build a culture of safety and resilience at all levels. Priority 4. Reduce the underlying risk factors. Priority 5. Strengthen disaster preparedness for effective response at all levels. Okay, now let's look at Sendai framework. We have seen Hyogo framework for action. Now we are studying Sendai framework, SENDAI framework. It has 7 global targets. Okay, Sendai Framework is a 15-year voluntary, non-binding agreement which recognizes the state has a primary role to reduce disaster risk, but that responsibility should be shared with other stakeholders, including local government, private sector, and other stakeholders. So, Sendai Framework aims for the following outcomes. When was it started? The Sendai Framework was adopted by UN member states on 18th March 2015 at the 3rd UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Sendai. It's a city in Japan. So all the frameworks were designed in Japan during the UN World Conference on Disasters or Disaster Risk Reduction. The Sendai Framework is a successor instrument of Hyogo Framework for action. Building resilience of nations and communities to disaster is the main agenda. Under the Sendai Framework, there are 7 global targets. First one, substantially reduce global disaster mortality by 2030, aiming to lower average per 1 lakh global mortality rate in the decade of 2020 to 2030 compared to 2015. So it aims to reduce the global disaster mortality to an average of 1 lakh. Okay, number 2, the second global target, substantially reduce the second global target of what? Of Sendai Framework. Number 2 is substantially reduce the number of affected people globally by 2030, aiming to lower average global figure by 1 lakh in a decade of 2030. So it wants first one is talks about mortality, second one is talks about the number of people affected. Third target is it wants to reduce the direct disaster economic loss in relation to global gross or GDP. So it is aiming to reduce the economic losses. Number 4, substantially reduce disaster damage to critical infrastructure and disruption of basic services, among them health and educational facilities, including through developing their resilience by 2030. Number 5, substantially increase the number of countries with national and local disaster risk reduction strategies by 2020. Sixth target is substantially enhance international cooperation to developing countries through adequate and sustainable support to complement the national actions for implementation of this framework by 2030. Number 7, substantially increase the availability of and access to multi-hazard early warning systems and disaster risk information and assessments to the people by 2030. The 4 principles or the 4 priorities of action under Sendai Framework are: Priority 1, understanding the disaster risk. Priority 2, strengthening disaster risk governance to manage disaster risk. Priority 3, investing in disaster risk reduction for resilience. Priority 4, enhancing disaster preparedness for effective response and to build back better in recovery, rehabilitation and construction. There are no legal provisions to designate disaster as national calamity. Okay. So these are the Sendai frameworks. Okay. So let's look at the next topic, that is incident response system. Incident response system is an effective mechanism for reducing the scope for ad hoc measures in response. It incorporates all tasks that may be performed during disaster management irrespective of their level of complexity. It envisages a composite team with various sections to attend all possible response requirements. The IRS, or the Incident Response System, identifies and designates officers to perform various duties and get them trained in their respective roles. The Incident Response System is put in place and stakeholders trained and made aware of the roles. It will greatly help in reducing chaos, confusion during the response phase. Everyone will know what needs to be done, who will do it, and who is in command, etc. IRS, or the Incident Response System, is a flexible system at all sections, branches, and units. Various sections, branches, and units need to be activated only as and when they are required. Though India has been successfully managing disasters in past, there are still a number of shortcomings which need to be addressed. The response today has to be far more comprehensive, effective, swift, and well planned, based on well conceived response mechanism. The realization of certain shortcomings in our response system and a desire to address the critical gaps led the Government of India to look at the world's best practices. The Government of India found that the system evolved from firefighting in California is very comprehensive and thus decided to adopt Incident Command System of the California system. Okay, then what are the guidelines of NDMA on an incident response system? The guidelines of incident response system are issued by the National Disaster Management Authority under the Section 6 of the Disaster Management Act 2005. So, Disaster Management Act 2005 is very important, remember that. Why are the guidelines issued? They are issued for effective, efficient and comprehensive management of disasters in India. The vision is to minimize loss, life, property by strengthening and standardizing the disaster response mechanism in the country. In view of provisions of Disaster Management Act 2005, NDMA felt that authoritative guidelines on the subject with necessary modifications to suit India's administrative setup were essential. To meet this, a core group of experts was constituted and 4 regional consultation workshops were conducted. It was ensured that the representatives of the state governments and Ministry of Home Affairs. Why Ministry of Home Affairs? Disaster management subject is looked after by Ministry of Home Affairs. They all participate and give the views. Okay, training institutions like Labasna, NIDM and various RTIs and ATIs along with national core trainers also participate. The adoption of ICS, what is ICS? Incident Command System, by other countries was also examined. Okay, the draft prepared was again sent to all states, UTs and their final comments were obtained and incorporated. A comprehensive set of guidelines has thus been prepared and is called the Incident Response System. Okay, the main purpose of these guidelines is to lay down the roles and responsibilities of different functionaries and stakeholders at state, district levels and how coordination with multi-tiered institutional mechanisms at the national, state and district level will be done. So, it will have a guidelines of how the coordination has to be done. It also emphasizes the need for proper documentation of various activities for better planning, for better accountability and better analysis. It will also help new responders to immediately get a comprehensive picture of the situation and to go in for an immediate action. Okay, we have started with disasters and we have seen types of disasters, natural and man-made or anthropogenic disasters. Then we have discussed the terms risk, vulnerability and hazard. And next we have moved to India's vulnerability to disasters, that is 12% of our land is prone to earthquakes. We have talked about certain data. And then we have seen NDMA, next we have seen NIDM, NP National Policy on Disaster Management, that is NPDM. And then we have discussed about National Disaster Response Force, NDRF. NDMA was established under the Disaster Management Act 2005. Next we have seen the provisions to declare as a national calamity and then international efforts to combat disasters. What are those? Yokohama Strategy, Hyogo Framework for Action, Sendai Framework. And then we have seen Incident Response System and then finally we discussed NDMA guidelines on Incident Response System. Okay, with this we'll end our today's lecture. Thank you for listening. If you have any doubts and queries or if you need any help, you can mail us to biasacademy@gmail.com. Thank you. Have a great day.